I avoid getting into serious relationships because I'm scared it's going to fail anyway and don't want to get my heart broken. But I'm in my 30s and I don't want to be alone forever. What should I do?
Okay, so this person's in her 30s. She's scared of getting her heart broken.
Yeah. Well, it could be he. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Who represents
he
him.
or she, yeah, definitely. Yeah. For me, people need to look at why they are fearful. Is it because of a past relationship? Is it because of things that they've seen? Sometimes we have to just bite the bullet and just go for it.
Take the risk. Yeah.
Take the risk. You know, if you're constantly having that fear, you will never move forward. You'll always be stuck in that era where you think, oh, you know, I'm not going to do it because this and this and this. And when you constantly think that, it will happen because that's what you're thinking.
That's also true.
But I think people have to think positively and, if need be, prepare yourself just in case it does happen then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you set yourself targets. But for me, I would encourage this person to go for it. Go for a relationship. Because it might be that, you know, it turns out really well. But if it does, you can set yourself targets and say, well, okay, if this happens, I am going to strengthen myself or do what you need to do to get through it. Yeah. But I think people have to take risk, otherwise
they're never gonna.
You're never going to move forward.
Yeah. But I think, because you said about prepare. Did you say prepare yourself? Prepare yourself for if things happen. Okay. But I do think it's a balance of, because sometimes you can be. I think from what I'm reading, there might be an element of being overprotective of themselves getting heartbroken. Definitely. But I suppose you're being in a relationship, I've found, is learning to trust your heart with somebody else. And I totally understand that that's not easy. I mean, I spoke about like rejection and all these types of things in some of the previous episodes. And that feeling of being rejected or being let down or being mistreated, that fear can be so high. So I can understand. But then it's one of you can't protect yourself, like you said, and have a relationship as well. I think it's important to look out for red flags. So you don't fall into situations or you're blind or get blindsided. Because I find actually women have a very bad habit of creating a fantasy in their head, ignoring a lot of red flags or putting them down to one-offs. Because they want the relationship
to work.
They just want a relationship at all costs. They'd rather have a relationship than be alone. So they forfeit a lot of this stuff, or ignore or play blind to some of this stuff, or convince themselves out of what it really is to be able to have a relationship. And I think you can have a balance where you're still aware of things, where you still and have an awareness of your own value to know what you won't put up with, but at the same time being aware enough to know when you're probably self-sabotaging the relationship or putting up too many walls, because I think people are only going to try and break down those walls for so long, and if you're not going to let people in, you know, how do you have a healthy relationship?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, because with any relationship, even if it's friendship, relationship within a family, there'll be ups and downs, but at the end of the day, you as a person have to be strong in yourself. I've said it like on the previous episodes that we've done. You have to be confident in yourself and understand why do you fear things, and if you do fear, address it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
You need to address it. Why you're fearful?
Why are you scared?
Because you know, if you do want a relationship and you're constantly fearful of having a relationship, you will never have a relationship.
Yeah.
But you know, the good and the bad works together, you know, for good. And I think it can be a learning curve as well. If this person has been in a previous relationship and their heart's been broken, they can learn from that.
Yeah.
And as you say, recognise the red flags or whatever it is. And if they have to walk away from the relationship, be confident in themselves. Say, well, I'm walking away from this relationship, and I'm happy to do that. And be confident in do that. And then the hurt won't be as bad because you're the one who's in control of that.
Yeah.
You're in control of that.
I think I saw something on Instagram not too long ago actually. I can't remember word for word what was said, but I know it was Taraji P. Henson giving having an interview, and she was talking about you need to expect that people are going to let you down because everyone's human.
Exactly.
It's unrealistic to think that you can go into any kind of situation or any relationship and think a person's not going to let you down. They might not do it maliciously, on purpose, deliberately, but we're flawed. Exactly. So you have to be open and accepting of the fact that will happen. So your responsibility, I suppose, or this person's responsibility, is just to make sure that you know your value enough or know where you can go to kind of address that pain when it happens, or if you have a conflict with the person you're in a relationship with, be strong enough to communicate with that person, you know, and hopefully you can have a good conversation or interaction and you can move on, or if it doesn't go so well, you can still make an informed decision about where you want to go.
And I think one of the things that I did mention as well in the previous episode is about going into marriage, because a lot of people fantasize that, you know, I'm going to find my knight in shining armour, I'm going to get married and live happily ever after. You know, for some people that is the case, that will happen. But when you have never lived with somebody before, and then your relationship outside of marriage might be, you know, perfect in terms of, you know, he buys you flowers, he does this, he does that. Then you get married, there's responsibility of the home, etc., etc., etc. Having children, different dynamics. And people see things in other people that they've never seen before. So for me, you have to prepare yourself for things like that. And sometimes it's about, as I say, communicating, working your way through it, and you both can get through it together. But I think if you're constantly fearful, some people will actually just give up at the first hurdle. But, you know, as you say, we are all humans, we're not perfect. And, you know, we can learn from each other, we can strengthen each other. And relationships about, you know, building it together. Building it together.
I know, like, even being with the right one, you're going to get hurt.
Oh, definitely.
I'm sure that I've hurt Liam in some ways, and
same.
Liam's hurt me in some ways, and so you can relate. So it's not something we can avoid, I guess. But one thing that will help, I suppose, if this person's looking for the long term, the forever relationship, I can say from my experience, the thing that makes you stick with a relationship, well, for me, the thing that made me stick to the relationship with Liam is because I know that that me and Liam were meant to be together, that it was God ordained, it was God confirmed. Because, and I said it again, there was many situations that happened along our courting journey, and there's been ups and downs in the marriage and in everyone's marriage, that if you were in your feelings, you could have easily have walked away, I guess.
Definitely. And I think as well, love is a choice. People think love is about just a feeling, you know, you meet somebody, my heart leapt, or feel butterflies or whatever else.
Probably
and
gas.
That's love.
That's what
exactly. And that's love. But you can love somebody even in their flaws, like God loved us. And sometimes you make that choice to love somebody, and for a lot of situations, you can actually overcome a lot of problems by just showing love. I mean, I think I talked about my book as well in the last one, and I talked about how things was for me growing up in my household. And mum and dad, in terms of my mum and dad, their relationship wasn't perfect. You know, there were areas where, you know, it was quite traumatic for me as a child. But I saw the love that my mum showed towards my dad, particularly towards the latter end of his life. And that love sort of solidified the marriage. Because, you know, he then turned around and said to her, you know, he apologised for the things that he did to her, and he told her that he loved her. So at the end of the day, so for me, you can actually choose or overcome a lot of things by loving somebody. But I would not say to anybody to because, like, some women in abusive relationships, they say they love their partner, or their partner's abusing them, and they stay in that relationship. For me, I would not advocate somebody to stay in a long-term relationship if the partner's constantly abusing them.
Yeah.
Because for me, that's quite.
Well, that's not love either. I mean, it has to be something that's reciprocated. I guess when you're in when you're looking for, when you're in a relationship, and like I said, it's about knowing your value, knowing what what love is, and you can't always love somebody enough for them to change, because they need to make that choice for yourself. So I wouldn't advocate for that either. But what I will say is that as much as this person's fearful of getting their heart broken, there's probably another person who's probably right for this person, who's probably scared of getting their heart broken. So everyone's being scared, and no one's being in relationships. So then everyone's just out here in corners, rocking backwards and forwards because they want to be in relationships but can't be in relationships because everyone's too scared to. And on top of that as well, as much as you're being with the right person can still hurt you, because they're flawed. We're flawed as well. I think sometimes some women, they hold men to a really high standard of they want this knight in shining armour and they want this and they want that. But these women are just out here looking for men who can serve them. They're not actually looking or thinking about what can I bring to the table. Am I a wife? Do I demonstrate wifely characters, or do I want to look after somebody? Do I just want to feel loved, or do I want to actually give love to somebody else? And I think when we can understand as well that the other side also has flaws, I think it's an incentive for you to try and love somebody the way you want to be loved. Because if you want someone to show you grace for your flaws, you've got to be willing to also give someone grace for their flaws as well. But yeah, for this person, you're gonna get hurt, bab. It's gonna happen. It doesn't have to be anything traumatic. It doesn't have to be anything mad.
Yeah, it could be simple things.
Yeah, but you're gonna get disappointed, or an expectation is not gonna be met somewhere along the lines. Just accept that that's gonna happen. And if you're a Christian person, get into a space where you're constantly communicating to God about the person that you want to be with and the relationship you want to be in, and what His will is for the person that you need. Because I can honestly say, hand on heart, me meeting Liam and getting into a relationship with Liam was on the back of coming out of a traumatic situationship and saying, I am not interested in getting with anybody. Lord, all I want is you. At this point, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And then lo and behold, I'm not saying it's going to happen like magic for everybody, but I'm just saying, once God knows He's got your heart, and once He knows you're going to pursue Him regardless, it means that whether you're in a relationship or not in a relationship, He knows that you will never forsake Him, and He'll never forsake you then. So that would be my advice to this person, whoever sent that message in. So I hope that gives them a few nuggets.